That is incredibly important for a woman. Women want to be heard. Daryl, would you say that's the same for a man, or do most men just want to, like, stop talking?
Did you push record?
Thanks for tuning back into our second act with Paige and Silka. We are returning to our third segment now with Daryl Gurney and his wife and business partner in the back 40, Alexandra Levin. Thanks so much for coming back with us.
Thanks for chatting with us.
Thank you.
Well, we've had really a lot of fun on our first two segments on the topic of relationships, and I keep saying starting over, and Daryl explains that we're not starting over, but we're starting. The whole Back 40 platform, we'll link to all that so you know what we're laughing about. What we want to focus on in this segment is now we're going down the relationship road, and at this time in our life brings a whole new set of challenges as well because of everything that we bring to the table. I don't want to call it baggage, let's call it life experience, but nonetheless, it influences how we interact with a new partner. Talk to me about that and how you counsel people and how you've gotten through it.
I'll just speak from our experience. Alexandra and I had both done lots of self-work, so we found in the other person someone who's done a lot of their work. And, that just always, makes a difference, especially if you're wanting to attract an evolved person, do your work and then you'll, more likely attract that. One of the things I was influenced by was a story I had heard as I was going through a process of becoming a licensed spiritual counselor of a couple that had come together later in life. They had both had families, been married, done all that stuff, right? So it fits this question you're asking very well. And what happened was when they came together later in life and they were actually going to move, beyond that first, second, fifth date, whatever, and actually start moving into a relationship, they decided what they would do. And this is just by choice. They closed the back door because the back door is just so, seductive. Something gets a little raw, something gets a little challenging, people leave, right? But what they did was they actually saw that if they committed and created their relationship as the safe place for their own individual and mutual healing, then no matter what comes up, it's a reason to go deeper and it gives you an avenue for healing because you've heard the phrase, you always hurt the one you love.
Yeah.
Well, the reason is because when there's love coming from that person, you get to drop your guards and you get to start showing some of the stuff that's down in there that may not be so great or, sides of yourself, or you bring up patterns or something. But if both people are committed that when those things arise, that together it's about mutual healing, like this gives you the avenue for healing, then guess what? You get to go deeper and deeper and heal because the other person is there too. And it's kind of that context, I think, has been the basis for us that has really, supported us in coming together, as well as how we continue to evolve. We got more, we got stuff going on right now, not stuff but we've got things that we're healing, and it's like having a partner so you can get that done. I don't know. What do you want to say about it?
There's an idea that when love is present, everything unlike love shows up. And so meaning when love is there, love present between two people, there is space and safety and opportunity for other things that are not like love show up and come to the surface. And going deeper becomes really an opportunity to heal those things that come up. Because what happens if you don't heal them and you don't grow from them, you may leave the relationship and it's going to show up 5 times. How many times we say, oh, all men are this. I've dated 5 men and they're all the same. Who's the common denominator?
Yeah.
So that creates really an opportunity for healing. And another idea that we embrace is that everything gets resolved through responsible communication.
That's big. You want to say more about that?
Yeah. And to the point where sometimes it may take 2 or 3 days to communicate responsibly. And there's a difference between responsible communication and verbal diarrhea. Okay, verbal diarrhea is you this, you that, nah, 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 right? Being responsible communication is saying what's there for you, what's so for you, leaving nothing unsaid, speaking for yourself, speaking your truth, and then shutting up and having the other person say what's there for them and what they see or hear or how they want to respond to what you said. And then it goes back and forth and back and forth. And sometimes they're misunderstanding, or you say something and they hear differently. They say, this is what I heard. That's not what I intended to say. But everything is done with an intention to create alignment and understanding and healing and growth. And it's just remarkable. And every time that happens, every time we may have a disagreement and we engage in this responsible communication process, every single time without fail, our relationship gets better and deeper.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah. The whole dynamics of how men and women communicate differently. That's,
Yeah,
that
well, yeah, and unless both are willing to meet in the middle in a agreed upon way of communicating. So in other words, I mean, we could talk for a long time about this process of communicating, but what she said was very accurate. It's like, see, most of the times when people have and by the way, the other aspect of responsible communication is also always looking over here. Because most people are you this way, da 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 da. We are always looking from the point of view of what's going on our side of the street, what's going on over here. Now, there still may be things that we don't agree on, so we will communicate. But the point is being able to listen to someone without thinking, okay, yeah, she said that, so I got to refute that. Okay, yeah, and that's wrong. And you're not present to what they are experiencing, what they're communicating in terms of their experience. Someone's feelings or the way things are occurring for them are never wrong. Mm. That's how they feel, and that's the way it's occurring.
Good point.
So if you can listen beyond the refute this and argue that, and just get their experience, and then they can listen to you and get your experience, eventually the experiences can find a way to, even if you don't agree, appreciate one another's experience.
You know what I like about this conversation is whether somebody else is listening and just talking about what we're talking about, or what this couple I saw, what they talked about, bringing that up can spawn a conversation that maybe leads them down a road of healing.
Well, and sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that because the tactics and how-tos and what's different. And I mean, that, like you said, you have that in your programs, and I'm going to link to all that, your Renew All program, all that wonderful stuff you have out there to help people get through this. I guess what I'm trying to say is, laying that seed or that this is even possible, because a lot of men and women just don't communicate well.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that's standard, but again, if the second half's going to be the best half, like starting to ponder the idea that there's another possibility, that there's another way that people can communicate.
And if you look at people across the board, how often do people really have the experience of being fully heard and gotten? Not so often. And if you can have the experience that you're seen, you're known, your partner hears you fully, gets you fully, knows who you are, the kind of bond and the kind of possibility that it creates and the kind of deepening of love that creates is really remarkable.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I second that is incredibly important for a woman. Women want to be heard. And again, we're coming to the end of the segment. Also, Daryl, would you say that's the same for a man, or do most men just want to like stop talking?
Daryl never wants to stop talking.
Yeah, I may be a little different in that regard. Well, here's the thing. You know, again, we talked about this in one of the last segments, you know, like guys dealing with feelings or dealing with emotions. I mean, I'm going to say this, when I was growing up, I think my mom told me at one point, don't say the word nervous around your dad. He doesn't like to hear that word. And it's kind of like, so there's still all these male motifs of like, you know, lack of ability to get vulnerable and stuff like that. But look, I mean, the men's movement through the 80s and the 90s and, you know, guys going out in the woods and beating drums and, you know, getting to express their real selves and stuff. I would just say that, look, everybody's going to find their right partner for their own evolvement. And that's how I think we attract the other person, is that they're for our right involvement. And, you know, if as a guy you're getting the kind of women that fit for you, great. And if not, look over here, do the work over here versus what's wrong over there.
Well, I think we've put a lot on the table, food for thought for people to think about, especially as they're starting over. And like you've said several times in these segments, the one thing that we all have in common is we bring ourselves to the table, and there has to be, you know, you have to look in the mirror. So on that, I will end the segment. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to have you all both back separately as well. I look forward to that. And we'll see you again soon on another segment of Our Second Act with Paige and Silka.
Thanks, Silka.
Thank you.